It's Jey Uso and Bron Breakker for the Intercontinental title. And Jey came out the entranceway tonight, or that night, or on that event. Instead of through the crowd down the bowl, I wonder, was there a security concern? They were in Philadelphia. That's where they took fucking Doink down.
I think the concern was he was going to blow himself up if he went through the crowd. He wouldn't be able to work the match.
You know, that may be possible. Also, because he can't do a fucking promo after he does his entrance. How's he going to go 20 minutes with Bron fucking Breakker, right? So, but there was still the waving and the yeeting and everything. So it's over. It gave him a break, because those fucking stairs are steep too. But again, I want to see this match, and they start out with a fight, and Bron gets clotheslined to the floor, and they go to break in 30 seconds. I'm like, And I think, actually, I think they went through 2 breaks on this. So it was broken up, and truthfully, until we got to the meat of the matter, this was not, I don't want to do a disservice to Bron because it wasn't necessarily his fault. Although part of it was in terms of, unless Jey Uso just said, unless we do this convoluted back and forth on the apron and the floor where the referee has to stand there slack-jawed and not count us, and nothing happens for an inordinately long period of time until finally something happens. Unless Jey Uso said, unless we do that, I'm not going to fucking work with you, then part of it's Bron's fault. But when Bron's in control and his heel aggression and attitude and the pace, the methodical way he picks people apart, that's great. But when they were trying to go back and forth with him and Jey, and I don't know whether it's a case of, I don't believe Jey Uso's timing is the greatest in the world and Bron's green. But the first part of the match was not as scintillating as we have come to expect from Bron Breakker. Would you agree?
Yeah, I didn't think it was too special of a match.
And Bron hit the Breakensteiner, running and leaping to the top, and that was another break spot, blah, blah, blah. But finally, it didn't really click or whatever until Uso finally hit a spear, boom, and got a 2 count. And then here came Solo and Jacob Fatu showing they've got tickets. They bought front row seats. I wonder if those 2 seats on the front row were open all night long. Because it's almost 10 o'clock. The show's almost off the air. They just got here. Do you think they went to that length, or did they just fucking move somebody out in a previous break?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I know somebody that has a Cornette face shirt was there in the audience. I'd like to hear a report. But anyway, so then now...
You better file that report, you understand?
You better file that report. You're indebted to me if you're wearing my clothing on national television. I need papers. So Jey goes to the floor to talk to Solo. What are you doing? Solo's like, I'm trying to help you. And Bron takes over, but Jey posts Bron, and then the Tongas appear, and Jey super kicks both of those guys, and Solo comes over the rail and argues with Jey. And Bron goes for the big spear, but Solo shoves Jey out of the way, and Bron spears Solo. I'm like, what the fuck now? And Bron puts Jey back in the ring, but Jacob is not happy. And he comes over the rail, and when Bron Breakker and Jacob Fatu face off, the people were fucking going crazy.
Yeah, what'd you think of that moment?
And again, they've got so many matches that they don't even need to have yet, that the people will go apeshit over. It's insane. But yeah, can you imagine Bron Breakker? Because Bron will be a heel until he gets over to the main event level, and and the people are going to switch him babyface before they actually switch him babyface. But he's too good to not like. The dogs are barking and what they're already giving him his shit, but he's still a badass, and that's what's going to make him a bigger babyface eventually. But against Jacob Fatu, that with the proper build, they could get a fucking huge deal out of that. And the fans were barking. And then Jey dove on both of them, which he would do, and broke up the potential before they had to fight, right? Before it was like, well, goddamn it, do something. And then they go back to the ring, and Jey comes off the top rope, but Bron raises his knees. But Jey goes goes with 2 super kicks or kicks of some kind, and a spear and a splash, gets a 2 count. And as the agents are down at ringside kicking the Tongas out, Jacob gives Jey the big kick, and Samoan drops him on the fucking desk. And then Bron rolls him in and hits him with the spear, 1, 2, 3, and wins the belt back. New champion. And so now, this is perfect, I've got to say. Again, I was upset when they took it off Bron that quick. But they obviously had this in mind, which means they're booking weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months and months and months out. But the way that they did this was they put it on Bron to establish him. They took it off to make sure that their main event, Jey Uso, didn't flatten out, and then took it off of Jey again as a way to put more heat on the story that he's in with the bloodline. And Bron ends up champion again, but the whole thing didn't hurt him in the end. Bravo, I say. That's a golf clap. But what'd you think?
I thought the ending was exciting. I thought the match kind of stunk.
Well, yeah. We've established that.
We also...
You wouldn't say that to Bron Breaker's face, I bet you.
I don't know. Where are we? Where's this happening?
Well, it's you've got a choice of either in public with many witnesses or in the dark in the back of a building all alone.
Do I have any of my weaponry on me?
Only what you normally carry around on the street.
Oh, I'll cut him in half. He'll kick my ass if he gets to use his hands or feet, but I will slice him to bits.
You got those box of awesome knives hidden in your pants.
The title change, when it happened a little while back, you weren't very happy about it. You didn't think the timing was right. They were just establishing Bron. Now that you see what they're doing and how this feeds into... The Jey Uso part feeds into now the bigger bloodline thing, because obviously it was a point of family pride. They made a big deal of pointing that out, that he won an Intercontinental Championship. Every area of the family was talking about that. Now he's lost it because of the bloodline. So knowing that Bron's got the belt back, he didn't have it for a little while, but they still kind of kept him strong. And the Jey Uso having the belt now feeds into the bigger storyline.
Yes, and now Roman can talk to Solo about how he's let the family down because he ruined Jey's accomplishment.
I asked you to help me keep my belt. I never cost you your belt.
Yeah.
Do you think that excuses him losing the belt, Bron Breakker losing the belt to Jey Uso?
Yes. That's why I said it's all worked out even better in the end, because they were able to use the situation to further several different things with a couple of different people. So it actually, bravo. But again, that means they're doing weeks and months out, because can you imagine what would have happened to this if it was AEW with not only Tony's attention span, but also the amount of people, for good, bad, or indifferent, that have input and opinion and sway, and them trying to do something that made sense every week, backwards and forwards, when you reflect and genuflect on it from the end of it, that everything still made sense for a 3-month period. Can you see that in AEW?
No way.
That's what I'm saying. This is what's it doesn't even have to Remember, everybody always says, well, just wait till you see where it's going. Well, a lot of times when you see where it's going, you can pick it apart in any company. A lot of ex-WWE with Vince around changing things on the sperm of the moment. It didn't make sense because they wouldn't have, why'd they do this and this and this? But in this case, this stuff is tight. And you can tell they're working ahead of time. And yes, every once in a while somebody sprains their giblet and they're out of action. But apart from injury, these people are going with a fucking coherent plan. And everybody's in the right place and doing the right things. That's why everybody's over. And the people are screaming for matches they haven't even fucking offered to give them yet. And the other side of the shit is so last minute and or does, as we'll get to with the Adam Cole fiasco, doesn't make any goddamn sense from the start and is not even making sense on the same programs because it's always being changed or there's no coherent plan to begin with. It's like they say, oh yeah, we're going to shoot this angle now. And in 6 months, so-and-so is going to wrestle this guy and it'll be great. And they don't know what the fuck they're going to do in between to get there. Is that a fair comparison from what you're witnessing with your own eyes, Brian Last?
Well, we'll be discussing shortly what I witnessed and what at least a few 100,000 people witnessed. We'll find out how many people witnessed it.
And what the butler saw.
But that was Raw. Of course, Raw is on the USA Network pretty soon, coming to Netflix, AEW, on Warner Brothers Discovery's TBS, and Fox Sports in Mexico. A lot of places, a lot of networks, a lot of streaming services, a lot of countries. You need one source to be able to cut through the crap and get to what you want. Watch the wrestling you want to see, no matter where you are. And Jim, I bet you know someone you could tell everyone about.
Well,
I just bet you do.
I'll tell you what, you're just betting it? Because if you're betting it, you're in the wrong fucking...
No, that's a different one. I expressly believe that you may know someone that you could tell everyone about.
Well, that was a very unwieldily worded way to say that, yes, I do know somebody that can unlock the entire world for you, that can make people think that you're places that you're not, that can foil the hackers, that can secure you and your family. These people are even better than a smart 12-year-old. Because did you know, Brian, that a smart 12-year-old with some cheap hardware could hack you? And that's why I've always been against children.
What kind of hardware are they going to hack you with?
Just cheap hardware, the kind you get at a cheap hardware store. And they can make up to $1,000 per person selling your personal identity and information on the dark web. And I'll tell you, I would be insulted. I would offer the guy $2,000 for me. But ExpressVPN will stop any of these hackers from stealing your data by creating a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. They come with all their own equipment. They do it in one day. They burrow underneath your home and encase a tunnel in concrete. And once they put your computer down there, nobody can get into it.
None of that will happen. Or has happened.
It's a secure encrypted tunnel. You know, they make crypts out of things other than concrete these days. So they can actually just pour them and it forms instantly. And they can put you in there in an urn or on a bench or anything. But folks, again, going without ExpressVPN is like leaving your laptop unattended at the coffee shop while you run to the bathroom. By the time you have stopped to wash your hands, somebody could have made off with it. That's why that most people in coffee shops don't wash their hands. So leaving your laptop unattended leads to the spread of disease. Now, what if one day you come out of the bathroom and your hands are clean, but your laptop is gone? What are you going to do then, Brian? What are you going to do then?
I mean, I don't plan on being in this situation, but I could see
Well, that's because you're smart.
Well, thank you very much.
But let's say going online unprotected without ExpressVPN is like leaving your door unlocked when you leave the house. Maybe you can trust some of your neighbors, although I've seen a few of the people that live next door to you.
Have you seen?
But what about the creepy guy down the block? Would you want him to be able to just wander in? What about what about fans from Virginia Beach?
I don't want any of this, and I don't know why this is such a bad example. Why don't we talk about watching television shows from around the world?
Well, no, with ExpressVPN, you can stay safe online without having to trust random strangers that are not going to walk into your home. ExpressVPN will come over every day and make sure that you've locked your door. And going online.
That won't happen, ladies and gentlemen, if you decide to, as you should, check out ExpressVPN. And this is going awful today, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I'm trying to tell the people about the service that ExpressVPN provides. It's going online without ExpressVPN is like leaving your kids with the nearest stranger while you go to the restroom. And when you come out, you're going to find that stranger is in another restroom with your kids.
This may not be the best. This is not a good example to use.
This is what they're telling me.
Who?
ExpressVPN. Going online without ExpressVPN is like walking your dog in public without a leash. What if one day your dog runs off and gets dog napped? The people at ExpressVPN don't want to have to leave their desk to go find your dog. So, folks, again, you don't want to be unprotected out in public.
No.
And you don't want to be unprotected on the interwebs because of the hackers and things. And yes, you can, wink, wink, nod, nod, just program yourself to live in Brazil or Liechtenstein so that you can watch their streaming programs not available in the United States. But also you can encrypt your location so that people, horrible strangers on the dark web, hackers and thieves and identity impersonators and your in-laws, nobody's going to know whether you're in the country or not. And potentially the Internal Revenue Service. But we'll talk about that later in a private conversation.
We will not be talking about that. That is not what this is about. If you want to access the WWE Network, no matter where you are, ExpressVPN is the one for you. Tell them about it, Jim.
Well, yes, you could bypass the cop and go right back to the old network if you still live in the Isle of Man. So you can secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/JCE. That's expressvpn.com/JCE. You're going to get 3 months extra for free. 3 months extra protection, security, peace of mind. All for free if you go to expressvpn.com/JCE.